Well, welcome into This Week in Pearl. I'm Greg Flynn, the Public Information Director here for the City of Pearl, and this is a back to school edition as we'll cover everything that you need to know as the kids get ready to head back to school this upcoming year. We're going to start off with a pair of administrators, and then we're going to move inside the schools and talk to a pair of principals. So you stay with us. We're going to have a great back to school edition this time on This Week in Pearl. But as we start off, we're going to bring in our administrators, and we're blessed to have the superintendent, Dr. Ray Morgino, and our athletic director, Mr. Richard Smithhart. And well, I guess let's cover the hot news right now is that at the 11th hour, I guess, we have delayed the start of our school year. It was supposed to be on the 7th, but now you've pushed it back to the 17th. Why don't you tell us what went into that decision?
Sure. Well, of course, the governor had a news conference yesterday, and been a lot of urging of some of the state medical officials and the governor. Just he did not specifically mention Rankin County as a hot. Of course, per capita, Rankin County has done pretty well. We're one of the largest counties in the state, and so obviously we have cases throughout Rankin County. But per capita, we do fairly well. But he kept emphasizing, if I were a superintendent, I would start school on the 17th of August. And I would start with a hybrid for the older kids and ease them in and, start the younger kids regular. So he just kept saying that. And so we struggled with it, till late in the night last night, talked to board members and different folks and obviously some, sister superintendents from around the area. And we just felt like it's kind of hard to go against the governor's recommendations, and so we do like our plan. We feel like we're ready, but we also want to listen to our elected officials when it's prudent to. So we decided to go ahead and push back a week, and then we will start on the 17th with our elementary kids. We'll go in the traditional model where they're coming every day. Our secondary kids, our junior high and high school kids, they will go for 2 weeks on what's called the hybrid model, where they will have one half of them with the last name A through L will come on Monday. The other half with the last name M through Z will come on Tuesday. Wednesday will be an at-home learning day. Thursday will be the A through L students again, and Friday the M through Z. We'll do that for 2 weeks, and then the 31st of August we'll plan for all of our secondary kids to come in the traditional model. That's our plan.
I guess we're in a time right now where no matter what decision you make, there is no right answer, there is no wrong answer, because about everybody is split on everything that you guys do. But, safety is always number one to you guys. I know that, and I think the people of Pearl know that. So to kind of set their minds at ease, what are some of the steps that you've taken to ensure that the schools are safe?
Sure. Well, we've been working on this literally since April. But we have everything from, we have this little fancy mask that I'll put it on.
Yeah, I like yours. That has the P and the anchor.
Yes, every student and staff member in the district will get one of these. What we're doing for the elementary kids, pre-K through 5th grade will actually get 2 of these. Our teachers will get one, and then they also are receiving a
shield,
Anchor P, little gator, and a face shield. All teachers and bus drivers getting a face shield. And then our secondary students, they'll get one of these masks, and then also a little, I call them gaiters, the little deals you pull over your head. And
that kind of goes up your neck,
yes,
and it covers the whole thing.
Yes, so our secondary students will get one of those as well. We've got everything from the, I don't even.
Well, from the it was fascinating to me, some of the things you're going to use to sanitize the school.
Sure. The electrostatic sprayers that will basically cling to this. If you take something like this, it kind of clings to the top and the bottom. And sprays, real quick, those things. We've got all kinds of, if you walk into the secretary's office, you'll see a screen. We're putting in all kinds of procedures are in there in our plan for everything from, unfortunately, parents like to come, unfortunately, normally, parents like to come and have lunch with their kid and all that. This year, the kids won't be eating in the cafeteria. They'll be eating in their classrooms. Just limit the movement as much as we can. For instance, on our secondary level, I know they're doing things. Band has done an outstanding job. They've been working this summer, and they've done an outstanding job of just really, keeping the distance and everything. So there's signage up at the schools, and there's procedures with how they'll, change classes. In the elementaries, they won't change classes much. Basically, if I'm a student in your classroom and you just taught me English, the next class of math, instead of us going across the hall to the other teacher's room, that teacher will come in there. So our elementary students will limit their movement a lot. On the secondary level, that's a much more difficult thing. But we are on an AB block schedule, and that allows those students to only have 3 movements a day. And our teachers have had fabulous attitudes. One thing we did on the secondary level to make sure we could have our numbers lower is they gave up one of their planning blocks. And so that allowed for multiple more sections where you can have much smaller class sizes. And so that's what we've done to try to keep all of our classes, where we can spread the students out as much as possible. So but there's, off the top of my head, there are so many different I think strategies and mitigation things we've put into place. It's just from the movement to the procedures. Obviously, kids and adults will have to be in a mask, and on the bus, that's probably the biggest challenge. We're urging parents, if at all possible, to transport their students to school rather than the students riding the bus. We will provide bus transportation, but that's a much harder thing to to social distance on the bus.
And to enforce it while you're driving.
Yes, but they will have to have their mask on the bus, and we'll clean the buses between routes, all that good stuff. But it's just, it's going to be a different year.
Well, academics, clearly the reason why we go to school. But just as important seem to be athletics. And boy, it's been some kind of challenge for you, Richard, as you're trying to coordinate all the fall sports. Now, I know right now, as of August 5th, all fall sports are scheduled to compete.
That's correct.
And they are out there practicing now. So even though school is delayed, your extracurriculars, your sports are still practicing, much as you said the band is going. So how is that working?
Well, it's worked, pretty good. I was going to say, we kind of had a jump on this in June, so we've been able to kind of practice a lot of the guidelines that MHSA put out, which a lot are similar to what Dr. Morgino and the school board has, put into place for schools. So, we've been having kids coming every morning. We're taking temperatures. They got a temperature, we'll call mom, come pick them up and tell them, they might want to go, get them checked out. We keep documentation of that. We started off, really just lifting weights. Coaches were wiping down equipment. We got the garden sprayers like Dr. Morgino was talking about. We spray the weight room down. We do all that. And then, we went through the first week, then we started getting out into more like small groups, doing conditioning work, and then eventually phased on in to kind of get into more of a normal practice. But, the coaches have done a great job with that. They've taken it very serious. We've had very, very few, cases that have come up. One thing that's been really good, and I hope, and I think Dr. Morgino or Ms. Chisholm would also like for the community to know, it's very important for the parents to call us when their kids don't feel good. Because we've had a couple cases where the parents of, one of the players on one of the teams that, called and notified us, and, unfortunately they did have a case, but they weren't at school, so, that was the big thing. And, it's really, really big to be proactive with this if we're going to be able to have school or, play ball, But right now, we're waiting on some more guidelines from MHSA as far as the games and events and, how we're going to do that. They have put out some guidelines. We have not met, like I was telling you, we hadn't met like with Dr. Morgino or Mr. Chisholm to kind of really look at that and see how we're going to implement that. I feel sure we're going to take temperatures. You're going to have to wear a mask. We're going to have social distancing signs. The band's going to have to make some decisions on concessions, we all are, how we're going to do that. Does the band travel? Are they not going to travel? We're going to pep, it's a lot of things like that. Where we're going to get on the sideline, how many people can be in, those things are all big decisions. And we know it's a lot of Pirate football fans that are chomping at the bits, but, it's a different animal we're dealing with right now, and safety of the kids and all that is going to be in the final decision whatever we do.
The one thing that seems tough is that for social distancing, that football is the biggest and also provides the most challenges, because your other fall sports, your volleyball, your cross country, swimming, you could social distance. It's the non-contact sport. But when it comes to football, I mean, you can't help but get kids close together on a football field with all kinds of, for lack of a better term, fluids flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that a concern?
I'm sure it's a concern, but I think we'll have the right protocol in place to limit that as much as you possibly can. Of course, football is not like it was when I came through, and probably at Dr. Morgino. I mean, those coaches, we hit all the time. Now, they hit like a week, and that's it. There's very little physical contact because they worry about injuries and all that from a coaching standpoint. So Friday night, that's a different beast there.
Well, we know right now on the front end that they have canceled our first 2 games. They've kind of pushed the season back, and there will not be first 2 games. So August the 28th would be our first action, a scrimmage against Clinton at Pearl High School, which is hard to believe just 3 weeks away from now. And then our season really kicks off the following week at Ridgeland.
That's great.
We won't have a bye week this year. We're moving that Warren Central game, I think, into that slot, so we'll play straight through, God willing. But we just don't know yet about how many, if any, fans will be allowed in those stands.
We're really excited about the scrimmage game because it's going to be very controlled, and it's going to give both teams an opportunity to kind of get a feel, of how the game is going to take place now, as far as controlling the sidelines, water, all those things the coaches have to work out. It's, we're going to take our time and use that as a COVID-19, practice, for football. Where cheerleaders are going to get, where dance numbers are going to get, all those things, it's going to help us out. It's going to help Clinton out a lot too. That was one reason that Coach Biles would want to play was, that was his big reason, to get acclimated to, how we're going to do this.
So it's going by what they haven't officially said from MHSAA yet, what the stipulations are going to be for in the stands yet. But if we go by what the governor has already put out currently about gatherings, is that 25% of arenas, stadiums would have capacity. And you said that Ray Rogers Stadium holds about 3,500. So then you'd have to take 25% of that.
That's just on the home side, right?
Just for the home side.
3,500.
So
about 800 people.
So the whole thing is that either way, it's going to be limited. We're not going to be able to pack the stadium. So people at home, I don't want to get your mind right that we're not going to be able to allow everybody in. But, we are fortunate enough to have such a great broadcast program that Pearl football is available any way you want to see it for free, whether it's on TV, on the internet, which is a blessing, which I think will really help out.
Yeah, I think that'll be tremendous this year, and I think it'll be a great, because there are so many folks that want to, be at the games and want to watch. This will provide them an opportunity to keep up with the team and to watch the team and support the team. So we are very fortunate that we have the broadcasting partnership with you guys here at the city, where it can go on the Pearl Channel and all that, and it's obviously a great learning opportunity for our students too that get to work those. So it's definitely going to be a help to have that this season.
Finally, just the bottom line for both you guys. I mean, there's a lot of schools around the state that are going all virtual. There's some that are going half and half. You guys have offered, if you want to opt out, you can and do virtual. I guess it was with an excuse. There are certain things.
If you had a medical, condition, and we've been, pretty easy on that. I mean, but we all know it's best for a kid to learn, with that teacher face to face and get that relationship is such a big piece, and the social part that it's so important. And so we're going to give it everything we can to provide our students with the best just educational opportunity that we can, and we hope it's as much traditional as possible, but also we also know the world we're living in right now. We're prepared if we have to flex to a different model. We will. We have invested heavily in Of course, we've got, computers coming in for, we have not been a one-to-one district in the past, and of course we're like every district in America has ordered a ton of computers this year, but they've not all come in yet, so that's a challenge we have, but they are, I was told earlier this week, have been shipped, and so that's going to be a great help having where we'll have a MacBook for every student in grades 9 through 12 at Pearl High, and the Google Chromebooks for 2 through 8th grade. So that will help too, but we also have the new learning management systems. They've used Canvas at the high school for a few years, but the junior high will also be using Canvas. So if you did have to go virtual, that you would have your information there on Canvas. In the elementaries, they'll have Google Classroom, and they'll put information on there. So we'll be using those. We'll be kind of working with the kids the first couple of weeks on those programs, and working, obviously the teachers are working on those things this week, and they've been working on them throughout the summer, and so that'll be our plan if we have to move towards a virtual thing.
And for Richard, for those that have chosen the virtual route, it's just one of those things that if you are taking the virtual option, you will not be allowed to participate in the extracurricular activities.
That's correct.
So, I mean, if it's not safe enough if you don't feel it's safe enough to come to school, obviously it's not safe enough to participate in sports. But, just from your perspective, we heard academics, it's important to be in the classroom, but, what the athletics teach the kids and, how important is it to really focus on keeping these extracurriculars going, the sports?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's huge. That's, those character qualities, we always talk about teamwork and responsibility and, just dedication and working hard. Not that you don't learn that in the classroom, but out on the fields and courts, you learn those things, and you can't learn that at home too much, unless you got one of them daddies like some of us had. But yeah, it's very important, for the kids to be at school, and we all have that teacher or coach we remember that if it hadn't been for them, we might have been doing something else, So yeah, it's huge.
Excellent.
I would like to brag on our activities and athletics. One thing this past year, every one of our athletic and activity groups in Pearl schools, from the junior high and high school, every one of them were all academic team, which means the team grade point average was 3.0 or higher. And I think that kind of goes why it's so important for kids to get plugged in and to be a part. Just sometimes that motivation and just knowing I have to have my grades where they need to be a part, and the kind of teammates and coaches pushing them. But I really want to compliment Mr. Smith-Hart and our coaches and activity directors. That was just something we're really proud of. I think that's like 32 different teams that have a 3.0 or higher. So.
Well, for a lot of the folks out there, I know that are criticizing the decisions and everything, but as we go through this show, you're going to realize we are an A-rated school district for a reason, and it's because of these gentlemen and the folks we're going to have coming up, and all the staff that works throughout this school district. They're going to do what's best for your kids. I promise you. I have a third grader. I trust these guys and ladies across this district with my child. So. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
And we will continue to pray for you. You're going to need it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun
All
year.
right, when we come back, we're going to bring in a couple of principals, Mr. Chris Chisholm from the high school and Miss Nikki Graham from over at Northside Elementary. So stay with us. This Week in Pearl continues right after this.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl to enjoy a Mississippi Braves baseball game or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back into This Week in Pearl. I'm Greg Flynn, now joined by a pair of principals, and I never liked going to the principal's office. Not that I ever really had to, but I like talking to you guys in this setting. We have Miss Nikki Graham from Northside Elementary, Miss Chris Chisholm from the high school. First I want to start with you, Nikki. Man, it's been weird getting ready for the school year. What's been like for you as an elementary principal?
Very different. One of the biggest things is, most elementary people, principals and teachers and students, we're huggers. So we haven't seen each other really since March. So it's been very difficult not to be able to have that interaction. We're preparing, of course, for our students to return, and teachers are always wanting to hug again. So just having to be very cautious as it relates to our interactions with each other. Yes, we're concerned. Yes. You just have to, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, am I too close? Or do I have my mask on? We all have our mask on, but it's very different.
For you, Chris, I mean, it is a little bit different. You're not a big hugger, running around the high school hugging.
You might be
everybody.
surprised.
But, for the older kids, and that's, the governor's really been calling them out. And the state health officer, Dr. Dobbs, has been, because, when we see those cases, it's the teenagers. We want to get them back in school, but we also got to make sure that they're healthy, because it's really a catch-22 for you.
It is a little bit, but again, I think most of our kids really realize what's going on, and honestly, a lot of our kids are really, really involved as well. So, you go out there for football practice 3 or 4 hours in a day, then you're pretty tired at night. So again, being involved is a good thing, and I think that helps with this overall issue.
You can understand clearly that we're always worried about our littlest ones. And
yes.
That's the elementary. And,
yes.
What they've done at not only the ECEC, but the lower, your north side, kind of that transition before upper. Mm-hmm. You guys, you understand. And that's what I want to try and get across to the folks at home, that these are like your own kids. And
yes.
you would never put them in any kind of danger.
No.
That you're really taking that extra precaution when you're there.
Yes. I don't have a student in my building, but I do have one at lower. So when my son is going to lower, I think of all of those other boys and girls that are coming to Northside. I'm going to do exactly for them as I know that Miss Jackson and her team are doing for those students at lower. We're going to do everything we can to, make sure they're social distance and they're wearing their mask and washing hands. That's the big thing. Washing hands, not putting things that you always tell children. Don't put your fingers in your mouth. Don't put them on your face. When you go to the restroom, make sure you go in there, take care of business, wash your hands really good. Trying to, separate those desks as much as possible. So doing all the things that have been recommended to the best of our ability to do what's in the best interest of our students, because they are our babies. We want the same number of students we start the school year with, the same number of staff members we start the school year with. That's what we expect to end the school year with. So we want everybody to be safe.
Dr. Morgino touched on it just a little bit, but some of the steps that you're taking this year, like lunches in the classrooms, they're not going to move classrooms.
That's
Teachers
right.
are going to come to them.
That's right.
Can you expand upon that a little bit?
So traditionally, students, you go out for specials, and of course we go out for recess, and they can play all over the playground, and we go in the cafeteria. Well, this year, in order to kind of keep as much of a bubble as possible, majority of the things are going to happen inside the room. So, for example, we don't have a very large cafeteria, so we have some satellite stations for breakfast and for lunch. So when students get off the bus, if they're eating breakfast, they'll stop at that station. When they get out of the car rider line, if they're eating breakfast, then they'll stop at that station. For lunch, we have 2 lines set up in the cafeteria, and only the students that are getting lunch, they'll go in, they'll pick their meals, they'll go back to their classrooms. Our specials teachers will travel to the classroom so that they can have specials inside the room, keeping that bubble. And then for recess, we'll have 5 different zones. So instead of Jack being able to play with everybody that's in his pod, on Monday he'll be in zone 1, on Tuesday he'll be in zone 2, and having that as much of a bubble as possible, so we can try to limit the contact and not know. We want to try to be ahead of the game.
Chris, it's a little bit harder for you over at the high school because your kids are always moving classrooms You know, what's that challenge going to be like for you?
It's going to be different. Obviously, we don't have a recess to contend with, but we do. We've done a few things. We've cut out our Bravo periods, which that would be an extra 2 class changes for that on Thursdays and Fridays. We've done a few things like in the mornings when kids come in at 7:45, instead of being able to stand around for 15 minutes, they're going to get their breakfast and go directly to class. Obviously, our lunch is going to be very similar to what she's talking about. Our kids are going to go get their lunch and then they're going to take it back to the classrooms. And again, they're not doing class during lunch. You know, some of the kids have already hit me up on that saying, hey, look, can you make sure? Yeah, we're going to make sure that's taken care of. They're going to get their lunch break. It's just going to be different. Our goal is to have no crowding. That is the key to life for us. So, and again, even our class changes, we've got such a big building. We've got over 1,000 students in it, you know, and you're talking about 4 to 5 hallways. It can get pretty crowded, but we're going to stage the kids out in the hallway so we don't hit that mad rush like we normally do. So we've got some things in place that are going to help keep kids apart, and that's the key for us at the high school level.
Well, a challenge that you face that you don't have currently is the athletics. And
Sure.
Man, you have got people chomping at the bit to see this Pearl football team. You know, they haven't seen high school sports since before spring break last year. That's got to be a challenge for you as well.
It is. And again, we're doing, and I will say again, reiterate what they said earlier, our coaches have done a super job. And I went down and spoke to the football team yesterday and just kind of talked to them about, you know, being leaders in the school whenever we come back and make sure they're the ones that are leading the charge. You know, and it's been really good. The coaches have done an outstanding job top to bottom with, you know, as soon as I walk down there, you immediately notice mask on everybody that's there, except for the people involved directly in the play. So they are doing exactly what we asked them to do and what the MHSA has recommended as well. So it's tough, it's different, but in the end, our coaches and kids have responded really, really well.
You also have, you know, we saw at the end of last year what it did to a lot of kids not to be in school, your seniors specifically, that did not get to have that experience. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance you think of getting back into the school for these kids that, you know, this is their once in a lifetime memory, right?
Absolutely. And I can tell you, in fact, tonight I have a meeting with a senior group of parents online. And I have a senior group of students that I meet with every couple of weeks and kind of let them know where we are, where we stand. And you know, this is kind of a leadership group for me, so they can spread, of course, you know, they're going to spread it on Snapchat and TikTok and everywhere else. You know, I'm not into those circles, but in the end, it's really important for them not to just have those experiences, but understand what our plan is for those experiences. So that's what I've really been focused on. You know, the senior run through, we're not doing that this year right now. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it. It just means that we're not going to do it at the beginning of the year. Some of the things that they want to do, we're going to do our best to make sure that they have the senior year that they deserve, and that the parents want, that the kids want. So I think just the key for me is getting them that information and making sure we're all on the same page and nobody ever questions where we are and what we're doing. I don't ever want them to think, well, we're just not doing that this year. If we can do it, we're going to do it. We just have to make sure it's done safely.
Nikki, for you, I mean, I can remember when it's the elementary age, it's the formative years. I could tell you, I remember every one of my elementary teachers growing up, and that's something that these kids need to have, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You know, the thing about elementary to me, and you know, this is just a challenge that I have given to myself all the time, is our job as a staff is to give those students their best second and third grade years, because they never get a do-over. And if we don't lay that foundation, they never make it to the high school. And so those teachers, when you talk about elementary being huggers, those teachers are parents, but those teachers are also teachers. They show love. They also, you know, address the needs of the students. It's amazing how teachers may know more about what's going on with a parent or a student because they've built those relationships, and those students feel that sense of security, and they need that in, you know, in the formative years, because that's going to build who they are, not only academically, but who they are as an individual person as they matriculate throughout school. So, you know, it's like I tell them, you know, this is your mom at school, or this is your dad at school. You know, we are your family when you're not with your family. We are going to take care of you like your parents, and we're going to also educate you. So we have two roles, and that's what we're passionate about, and that's what we're ready to get back to doing.
The other part is, you know, you already sent them off to Chris, and they've already disciplined, right? Chris never has to do any discipline.
No.
Never.
What you're doing is, because again, I have somebody about to start third grade, is you're teaching them those social skills
Absolutely.
and also the conflict resolution
Yes.
at that age that they're going to need. And you can't get at home
No.
because you're not around enough different personalities.
That's exactly right. Yes. Interestingly enough, we were just talking about that. I, growing up, was not an athlete. Nobody's surprised, but I was not an athlete. But the thing that I appreciate about athletics or extracurricular activities is you have to learn how to get along with people, whether you like them or not, because you have to depend on them depending on what sport you're a part of or what extracurricular activity you're a part of. Well, you can't wait to teach students that by the time they're in middle school or high school. It's too late. You start at home. I have to do those things with Hughes and Ethan now, and you continue that, especially in their elementary years. So by the time they're in middle school and high school, they have more options. They have a little bit more freedom. You have the extracurricular activities that start coming in at the middle school level that you didn't have in the elementary level, but we have to teach those social skills that are going to be critical for when they make it to the middle schools and the high schools.
Well, and Chris appreciates it. They come to your office when they're in elementary, so they don't have to go to his office.
At least that's
when
the
it's
hope.
in high school, right?
See, you're already giving our office a bad vibe here. It's really not bad to come to the principal's office most of the time.
Most of the time.
Ooh, I don't remember being called there for good things.
Well, now I will say this: I have students that come to read to me all the time.
Okay,
that
good.
is always awesome.
And honestly, I have kids stop by my office all day, every day.
Yeah, but when you're called, they stop by. But when you're calling them to your office,
Sometimes they leave a message for me to call them. So it's really not a bad thing. It really isn't.
I know that some of our unsung heroes. We talk the teachers, rightly so, get the credit. The administrators, what you guys are doing for the plans. But how about a shout out to your custodial staffs that have
Yeah.
been having to do this?
Yes.
So, Chris, tell me about the high school.
Oh, they have been rolling. And of course, our building is so big. It's got so many nooks and crannies. The place is huge. But they have done a wonderful, wonderful job. Not only, they've got to take care of the floors, get those stripped and re-waxed, but just a general cleaning across the board. And the building looks better than it's looked in many, many years. So they a big shout out to our folks. They have done a super job. I've got a couple of them that like coming in at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you just wouldn't believe it. They actually love getting up there really early, and they get after it. And they have been working really hard. Our building looks great. And I can assure you, every morning and every afternoon, everything is sterilized, and sometimes even in between.
Over at Northside.
Same thing. The thing that my guys have had to do is declutter classrooms. That has been easy for some and a challenge for others. So just, going in there, Ms. Graham, we need to do this, we need to do that. Taking care of those things as it relates to declutter the classroom so we can have the spacing, but also making sure that things are cleaned several times throughout the day. 'Cause that is going to be key, more so than ever before.
Now, you don't have any teachers that are hoarders that are filling up their classrooms.
No, I wouldn't say I had that going on. Maybe.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. We got a few.
There's
Maybe.
a special on hoarders.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's also the training. When I hear Dr. Margino talk about, the fluorescent lights and all this spraying, the training that these folks are probably never thought they'd be doing this in
Right.
their careers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different.
It is very different. And just, things that you may only have one perception of, we can use this to clean. Well, now all kinds of different options, and just what is going to work, what's going to be most effective. So, just being flexible.
And what's going to work on keyboards? What's going to work on monitors?
Yes.
What's you have to know. So it's very, very different this year.
Well, we'll be in school, God willing, on August the 17th. Maybe just your final message to parents that may be a little apprehensive out there as we get a week's reprieve from getting them into classrooms. Chris, I want to start with you.
Get me first.
Well, I'm going to finish
No,
with the
absolutely. No, seriously, just what she said earlier. Bottom line is these are my kids. Every kid that walks in the door, I'm going to treat your kid just like, that's my promise to every parent is I'm going to treat yours just like they're mine. And we want to make sure that every single one of those, every single student that we have is safe, top to bottom, and staff as well. And I will say, you got to give us a little flexibility this year. Things are going to be a lot different than they have been. There's going to be things are much tighter than they've ever been. You know, parents aren't able to come in the building as much as they used to be
Yeah.
able to. You know, and our theme this year at the high school is we grow through what we go through, and I want parents to keep that mindset as well. That it's going to be there'll be some growing pains as we go through this, but in the end, I think that students and teachers and everybody in the district will come out on the other end better than we started. So just give us a little leeway, and just understand that we have the students' best interest at heart.
Nikki, for your parents.
Our theme this year is actually we're all in this together. And I think that theme is very fitting, because whatever that happens at Northside as well as at other elementary schools, at all of the schools in our district, we're doing it together. I'm entrusting my baby to the Pearl Public School District just like you're entrusting your babies to me. So I'm going to care for them with just a mama bear times 10, as well as all of our staff. Mama bears and papa bears are going to be taking care of your babies, and know that we're not going to ever do anything that's going to cause them any hurt, harm, or danger. We have to keep them safe first. If students are not safe, then we might as well not have school. So we're only having school because we know that we're doing everything to keep them safe. So just trust us to take care of their babies, because they're our babies.
Well, I certainly hope that if anybody had any apprehension or questions, that they can see that the boots on the ground have the kids' best interests at heart.
Absolutely.
That, you know, you're Jack, my son, you're his school mom, so I have no problem. I trust him incessantly with these folks. And Chris, I know that, man, they may be older, they may be harder to keep control because they know everything, but man, you keep those high school kids in line. Absolutely.
They're still mine.
They are yours. So parents, these are your the parents away from home, so trust them, I promise. Great job, folks.
Thank you.
We will continue to pray for you. You're going to need it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more This Week in Pearl right after this.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl to enjoy a Mississippi Braves baseball game or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Well, I'd like to thank all my guests for coming in today and hopefully giving you a little more insight into the back to school, as we had Superintendent Dr. Ray Morgino, Athletic Director Mr. Richard Smithhart, our high school principal Mr. Chris Chisholm, and Northside Elementary Principal Miss Nikki Graham. So, you know, hopefully the school year goes off without a hitch. We don't have to stop and start and stop. August 17th is the start date now for all public schools here in Pearl. That's K through 12, and the ECEC as well, the pre-K. So it's going to be a little bit different, but we certainly are confident in talking to all of these folks that our kids will be in good hands. And, you know, as they like to say over at the school district, every day is a great day to be a pirate. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Pearl.